So, Jane, tell me about this project of yours. It sounds quite exciting.
It is exciting, and I'm going to hold it up because it's easy to point out. Unchained TV. It is a streaming television network, but you can also get it on your phone. It's 100% free. In fact, we have a QR code where if you just click on that, put a photo over that, your video, your photo, you can just go right to the hub where you can figure out exactly how to download it because there's so many different ways to download it. You can download it on your phone. All you have to do is go to your app store on your iPhone or your Google Play Store on your Android phone. We don't ask for an email. We don't ask for money. We don't ask for a subscription. It's 100% free. And you can also get it on your television via Amazon Fire Stick, via your Apple TV device, via your Roku device. Or if you have a Samsung or LG smart TV, you can just type in Unchained TV. Boom, it's right there. Hundreds of free videos, cooking shows, music videos, travelogues, documentaries, and for the first time, the world's first reality TV show starring pigs. A family of pigs rescued from a kill shelter in the nick of time. And it's very dramatic, but there's also a lot of comedy to this reality show.
Yeah, how did this get started? I was reading up on it before the interview. It sounds amazing, and I'm a huge animal lover, so you got me right there.
Yes. Well, we are doing this through a nonprofit. We're not out to make money. We are out to change hearts and minds. And so many people are animal lovers, but they don't respond to necessarily seeing the horrific footage. It's like, no, don't tell me. So the reality series is a way to get people to connect the dots on their own. So people see these pigs. They see how when they say a bonded pair, that means a husband and wife who love each other. That's really what these two pigs, Dante and Beatrice, who were named after Dante's Inferno. It's a love story between Dante and Beatrice, a love story that just happens to involve pigs. So we pull them out of the kill shelter right before they're going to be executed, pot-bellied pigs, and we get the mama in a laundry room of a kindly wildlife rehabber. And then a shocker, turns out mama's pregnant. And along come 13 piglets and dramedy ensues. It is wild. And so what we hope is that people come to be entertained, and they are entertained, but there is a subtle message. These are individuals, each one with their own quirks, their own personalities, their desire to be with their families. They love their families. And so if you can accept that and see them as the individuals they are, well, gee, the next time somebody offers you a hot dog, you say, no, that was a pig who wanted to live just as much as you or I. But we're not beating you over the head with that message. It's the idea is to let the viewer come to their own conclusion.
I like that. I like that. And where did this idea come from? Because it's so ingenious and it's so unique. I'm like obsessed with the idea in the show.
Thank you. Well, what happened was I've been in mainstream media for 40 years. Okay. So I worked in local news as a reporter, as an anchor. I worked in syndicated television. I had my own show on CNN Headline News, HLN. So I was in mainstream media. And then as I became an animal rights activist, a vegan, I would inject that into stories I did. Often that did not make me very popular. You know what they say, first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they hate you, and then they join you.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So when I left that field after 40 years is a pretty good run. And I said, well, now I want to use my skills to do that full time, because I would get an opportunity maybe once a week or once every couple of weeks to get the message out. But I wanted to get the message out 24/7, 365. That's when I started my nonprofit. And it evolved from simply being me going, actually shooting with a GoPro before Facebook Live. Then when Facebook Live came along, I started having people around the world. We had 70, we still do have dozens and dozens of volunteer contributors going live on Facebook at veg fests, at protests, at vigils, at all sorts of vegan events and animal rights events. And then we decided to do cooking shows, vegan cooking shows, which were very successful. They were on Amazon Prime. We won awards. We were nominated for 8 Taste Awards and won 2. They're on PBS stations around the country. And then when they started charging for those episodes, which is out of our control on Amazon Prime, which is their right, that's their network, we saw that the ratings, the views went down. So we said, well, we don't want to make $1 or 99 cents. We want people to see this. This is the future of the world. The survival of the world depends on people getting this message, because, and I can talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, definitely. I want to hear all about it.
Most of our problems, most of our societal problems stem from killing animals. And I can make the argument. So anyway, we decided, well, it's time to start our own streaming network. And that's what we've done. Unchained TV has well over 600 videos, including the cooking shows, including the reality TV show, documentaries, travelogues, blah, 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 tons of them. So that's where we're at.
Nice. And what would you say was the biggest challenge about doing this and starting Unchained TV and your show and all that?
I think the biggest challenge, if I had to say it, is getting other people invested in the possibility, because you have to think big, right? And some people might go, yeah, oh yeah, you're going to start a network. Well, guess what? We got more views one month, recent month, than some of the major streaming networks that have spent billions of dollars. And we've spent tens of thousands of dollars, if that. So to get people to believe that it's possible, I know it's possible because the technology is very similar to the same technology that Netflix and all these others use. The difference is that they're spending millions of dollars on content. They're doing shows like, if people are going to pay for a subscription, they want something that is out of this world, like a Succession or a House of Cards or Billions, something that costs millions of dollars. But we're just using creativity and ingenuity. We don't pay big salaries. I don't take a salary. We get people to work either free or just for a pittance because they're involved in the cause. And everybody works overtime, doing the editing, doing the production. And so what we try to do is use creativity and imagination. Who would have thought of a reality TV show starring pigs?
Exactly. I never would have thought of that at all. And I think it's ingenious, like I said before, and I'm so excited to see the reaction to it. I'm really excited. Now, what do you think's harder? I mean, you've been one of my idols since I began in the journalism fields. I mean, I've been watching you forever.
Aww.
And what I want to know, what do you think is more challenging, reporting on breaking news or doing this amazing project that you're doing?
Well, that's a very good question. The challenges are different. People say to me, wow, you're everywhere. I said, yeah, because I'm used to covering 2 or 3 murders a day. You know, back in the day when I was a reporter in one of those trucks that goes around town, that was me. And sometimes they'd send you to, oh, there's an acid spill here. Okay, pack up. You went live there. Now there's a murder over here. Now there's a protest. I was constantly working. There was no, let's get together for lunch. That was a joke. And so I guess I have workaholic tendencies. But the difference is we had the networks established there. We had to show up, and obviously we had to make it interesting for ratings, but there was a built-in audience. For us, the challenge is getting that audience to come to us and to download the app and to visit Unchained TV and then come back again. That's one of the reasons we started the reality series, is that we're seeing a lot of downloads, but we've got to get, most of these big streaming networks have been made by one hit show where everybody's like, did you see such and such? Whether it's the morning show or, you know, it's always some show that people go, you've got to see this show. It's worth subscribing. The good news is you don't have to subscribe to our channel. You literally just have to download it. In fact, You can watch it all right on your phone. In fact, if you're really lazy, you can go to unchainedtv.com and click watch now if you're on your laptop, and you can see every show that is on Unchained TV. It's not designed for the laptop, but if you go to unchainedtv.com, you can access it. So we really just want to make it easy for people to access. So that's the challenge. The challenge has been, I think this is a big story, but there is a mainstream media blackout on animal rights and veganism. We had one station said, oh, we'd love to cover it, except we went to your website and we saw that you had some graphic footage there. We can't do that. Well, why not? It's the truth.
Exactly.
80 billion animals are being killed every year, land animals alone, not including fish, for people to eat them. And it's destroying our planet. It's a leading cause of greenhouse gas emissions, wildlife extinction, habitat destruction, water pollution, drought, ocean dead zones, desertification, not to mention human world hunger and human disease, heart disease, America's leading killer, cholesterol. It's only in animal products. There's no cholesterol in vegan products. So not to mention pandemics. The New York Times reported in late February that in all likelihood, beyond a reasonable doubt, the scientific community has concluded that the pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic, started in the Wuhan wet market, which is a retail slaughterhouse where animals are killed. There are wild and domestic animals, and there's blood, guts, and you know what? It's not just China. There's more than 80 wet markets in New York City. There's dozens of wet markets here in Los Angeles. So the next pandemic could be just around the corner. We have avian flu right now. We have monkeypox. You know, the thing that all these things have in common is the human species showing disrespect to other species and the natural world. And it's going to kill us. We are barreling toward extinction right now.
That's so scary to think about. I never thought of it on that terms, but you're really opening my eyes with this. It's incredible.
You know, people sometimes say to me, oh, yeah, I love your passion, very condescending. I had a pet too who I care for. I said, you know, please don't trivialize this. You claim you care more about people than animals, because a lot of people say, well, you know, I care about people more than animals. But what about the children dying of starvation right now in Somalia and Afghanistan, and possibly spreading to other parts of the world with the destabilization we have now geopolitically? We are 8 billion people, 7.9, 8 billion. We're killing 80 billion animals a year that do pretty much only eat, because they're kept confined to fatten them up. And even though they might have a lifespan of 20 years in a kind world, they're killed either as babies. Pigs are killed generally around 6 months of age. They're babies, or they're fattened up to maybe a year or two. Those animals are eating a good percentage of the food that we produce, while producing a tiny fraction of the food that we produce. So they're inefficient. It's inefficient to feed 2, 8, 25 pounds of grain to make 1 pound of steak, while a child is dying of starvation in Somalia. Okay. And not just a child. Millions of people are in danger or in the process of starvation as we speak. But people will tell me, oh, but I care about people. I care about people too.
Yeah, like I said, you're really opening my eyes with this. I never thought of any of this on these terms before, but I have to really thank you for spreading this message, because it's really important for people to hear.
Well, thank you for allowing me to have this conversation, because in my opinion, this should be the story on the front page of the New York Times, but it's not. There is on television, in the cable news channels, and everywhere else that media is. It's usually only the independent news organizations like The Guardian and The Intercept that cover these kinds of issues. Do you know when COVID swept through the slaughterhouses, and they were a hotspot of COVID, the slaughterhouses, where people were dying of COVID at a very high rate, people who are on the lowest social rung, either new immigrants, people who just got out of prison, who can't get any other job, killing 8 hours a day, so that, all of us can run around in our Lululemons talking about how peaceful we are, right? But what we're just getting somebody else to do our killing for us behind closed doors. That the news media never use the word slaughterhouse. They call them food processing facilities or meat packing facilities. They don't want to use the word slaughter because it reminds people of what's going on in there. Slaughter. There's no nice way to kill these animals. These animals are dying horrific, terrifying deaths. Most of them are babies. And it's morally reprehensible. We will look back on this one day, the way we look back at other horrific episodes in history, and we will say, how did they let that happen? And the way it always happens is that people, a lie isn't a truth is not a collectively agreed to lie. And this is what we have today, is a collectively agreed to lie. That suffering doesn't count. Oh, I'll throw you in jail if you do that to a dog or a cat, but you could do it to a pig, a cow, a chicken, a turkey, or a lamb. That's just business. You get a pass. But Mother Nature is saying, no, you don't get a pass. It's going to come back and it's going to get you with a pandemic, with climate change, with heart disease, with cancer. Do you know that all those pigs who were turned into hot dogs, processed meat, which is hot dogs, bacon, etc., it's carcinogenic. The World Health Organization has determined it's carcinogenic on a level with cigarettes. Nobody talks about it.
No, I never would have known that until you told me. Wow.
Because
nobody wants to talk about it.
Nobody wants to talk about it. Even the conservation groups and the environmental groups often shy away because they don't want to chase away. They say they don't want to chase away their funders, the people who give them money. They figure if they turn around and they say, you're contributing to climate change 3 times a day, that's going to offend the people that give them money. But the real truth is they also want to continue eating animals.
That's so true. So true. Now, speaking of animals, do you have any animals?
Yes, I do.
Okay, because I kind of thought I saw one behind you there.
I have 2 elderly dogs and a cat over here. Yes.
Very nice.
Yes, I do. And so, of course, I love my dogs. But what we're trying to do is expand the circle of compassion to other species. And here's the thing. People think this is a sacrifice. And one of the things that we show on Unchained TV is it's not a sacrifice. We have so much fun. The food is delicious, despite people saying, you could put a gun to my head and I would be hard pressed to eat an animal product. I just find it distasteful. But people who are hooked on it or addicted to it, they feel like, well, they're going to sacrifice so much to not eat that. It takes about 30 days to change your taste buds. But once you get rid of it, you are so much lighter and happier and freer and energetic because we're not built to digest meat. We're not carnivores. This is one of the big myths. If you were a carnivore, when you passed roadkill, you would start salivating and you would have to fight off the impulse to get down there and grab that roadkill and eat it up. Do you do that?
I'm just like, it makes me sick to see it. Yeah.
Of course. So you're not a carnivore. Our teeth are not carnivore teeth, despite what everybody says. No, they don't have that. Our digestive system is not a carnivore's digestive system. There's a million reasons why we are not designed. Look at dairy. The National Institutes of Health says 65% of the population is lactose intolerant. And yet, kids sometimes need a doctor's note to get something other than cow's milk in school. And yet, companies like Starbucks charge extra for plant milk, even though they claim to be progressive and want social justice. But they're fining people who are lactose intolerant and who want to have the alternative of oat milk or soy milk or rice milk by charging extra for those items.
That's not right. Absolutely not. I just don't understand it.
Well, that's why we started Unchained TV, to get the message across. And I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me.
Yeah,
about it.
absolutely. I was so excited to do this interview and I'm learning so much about it. So what's next for Unchained TV? Are you going to add more shows? Or what are you going to do next? And where do you see it evolving in the next few years?
Well, if I am just literally right before I jumped on this call, right up until the moment it started, I was on the phone discussing another project, and then I've got another project in half an hour. So many people want to collaborate. So many people have great ideas. I'm talking to a young woman who's opening a vegan restaurant. She wants us to profile the whole process of opening a vegan restaurant, and she's doing everything recycled. All the furniture has been recycled. Everything is, there's no plastic. And so that might be fun. We also are doing another mini series, hopefully, on a chicken who lives with a family and who kind of runs the whole household. And again, it's all designed to show people act like chickens are vegetables. Oh, I don't eat meat, I just eat chicken. No, chickens are individuals too. They have personalities and they're not stupid, even though, see, we demonize animals. And one thing you'll say, if you look back in history, is that in order to exploit, generally for profit and power, other beings, you first have to demonize them to justify your exploitation.
Right.
So you have to try to make a case falsely that there's an inferiority there. And so that's why we demonize animals. We demonize them so we can say, oh, when we insult somebody, we call them a pig. Why? Pigs are, when I had my show and I covered crime and people would say, he's an animal, I would literally say, why are you saying that? Animals are not serial killers who torture other animals for the fun of it. That's not what animals do. Why are you calling him an animal? Of course, people said, what is she? She's crazy. Why is she talking about that? Because words count. And so we have a new thing in the animal rights vegan world called speciesism. And it's basically language that's hateful toward animals. So instead of saying kill two birds with one stone, we say feed two birds with one scone.
Okay.
And we come up with alternatives. Instead of the cat's out of the bag, we come up with the bird has been freed from the cage. I just made that one up right now. But the point is that language conditions us in terms of our attitudes. That's why language is important. That's why you don't use certain words that are hurtful to other human beings. Well, speciesist language is hurtful to animals because it perpetuates that whole concept of they're not worth it. We can demonize them. We can treat them like products.
Wow, you're helping so many animals with this, and I'm so amazed by you. I mean, I already was a huge super fan. Now I'm a super fan, if that's possible.
Well, I'm part of a big team. There's a lot of people. I didn't do this alone. I just, with the journalistic experience, have always wanted to be my own assignment editor. I'm not interested in crime in terms of murders. I'm not a crime buff. I did it for years because I was in that genre, but I'm really into the crime of the century, which is the destruction of our planet through the hideous, mind-bogglingly cruel industry of animal agriculture. What we do to these animals is just morally reprehensible, but you can't just show people the imagery. Either they don't want to see it, they say it's graphic, why are you showing me this? Turn away. Or people are like, well, don't lecture to me, it's a choice. What I say to that is everything's a choice. Driving the wrong way down the freeway is a choice. Okay? That's neither here nor there. Everything everybody does every minute of the day is a choice.
That's so true. And people tend to forget that.
Yes, it's not just a personal choice. That's the problem. When what you're doing has an impact not only on your own health, but on the healthcare costs. Now, it wasn't me. Newsweek did a cover story, our toxic food system, and it pointed out that the meat and dairy laden fast food society we live in costs $380 billion a year in healthcare costs. Who's paying for that? You and me.
Yep.
Stent operations are expensive.
Well, hopefully now this will open people's eyes a little bit more and see that there's more that meets the eye, so to speak.
Absolutely. That's our goal. And it's fun. We have a lot of fun in the vegan world. You know, I'm 27 years sober, and I thought when I was hitting bottom and had to quit, oh well, I'll never go to a party again. I'll never have fun. I'll never do this. I do everything and then some, and I still make a complete fool of myself, but now I remember it. It's not a sacrifice. It's an adventure. You will have more fun. There's actually much more variety in vegan cooking because let's face it, we only kill about 6 types of animals: cows, pigs, chickens, turkeys, goats, lambs. There's tens of thousands of vegetables, fruits, nuts, grains, and legumes that you can array in an infinite number of combinations.
And now, what's your favorite vegan food to eat?
Oh gosh, it's so hard to choose. Oh my gosh. Look, here's another thing I want to mention.
Yes.
So people go, what do you eat? Grass? No, cows eat grass. And if you eat cows, you're eating compressed grass. We have all these great vegetables and fruits. Oh, I can't eat vegetables. I'm not going to eat what? Broccoli? Are you kidding? So, okay, we're going to take a bunch of peas and soy and we're going to mush them up and make them into a hamburger and add a lot of spices. That's processed. See, when somebody tries to put you in that no-win box, okay, you can't let them establish the context of the discussion. There are TV hosts, and I've seen it over and over when they're discussing Beyond Meat, and they'll ridicule it and they'll say, well, we don't know that it's any healthier. It's processed. Do they discuss the fact that processed meat is officially cancer causing? No, but processed vegetables are not cancer causing. Do they discuss the fact that processed meat is loaded with cholesterol? No. But vegan burgers, even though they look like a burger and they're minimally processed, they're zero cholesterol, but they don't tell you that. So really, it's incumbent upon us to think for ourselves and to question authority, because I did a documentary that's also on Unchained TV that I urge you to watch. And it's a great documentary about a person I consider a genius, Dr. Silas Rao. He was instrumental in accelerating internet speeds. He worked at Intel for many years, a Stanford PhD. He's just very brilliant. And he said, the reason they fight the meat industry, in other words, the reason society is so resistant to that issue where they're willing to talk about fossil fuels, is that our entire economy is based on death, disease, and destruction. Death for the planet, disease for humans, destruction for the planet. So the pharmaceutical industry is a huge industry. I believe it has more lobbyists on Capitol Hill than any other industry. It might as well be the meat and dairy industry. Because if people weren't eating meat and dairy, would they need the statins? Would they need the erectile dysfunction pills? Would they need the cholesterol lowering pills? Not as much, for sure. So you can't make money off a disease that never occurred. You don't see a lot of commercials for apples on television. You see Applebee's commercials that are dripping in steak, but you don't see a lot of commercials for apples. So meat creates artificial scarcity. Scarcity creates profit. If we did not have meat and dairy, we could live in a world of natural abundance where everybody on this planet had plenty to eat. They don't want that because they can't make money off of it. And I'm not anti-capitalist necessarily, but what we have today is not capitalism. It's corporate socialism. The meat industry is subsidized to the tune of many tens of billions of dollars every year through the Farm Act. And so if a hamburger costs $15 or $20, which it would cost something in that neighborhood, $10, $15, $20, if it wasn't subsidized by the government, you're damn right people would make different choices. People say, well, people are going to eat what they're going to eat. Well, if you subsidize it and make it so cheap, but if you don't subsidize it, then people might make healthier choices. Hey, how about subsidizing actual fruits and vegetables that humans eat?
Let's hope so. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. But I'm really glad that you're bringing awareness to this, and I can't wait to see where Unchained TV goes next.
To the moon.
Hey.
We're gonna grow, and we're having a lot of fun with it. It's very creative work, very hard work. I'm up till 1:30 in the morning uploading videos, creating thumbnails, writing descriptions, making plans. I'm just working as hard as I ever have, but I feel good about it because I know that this is the message that the average person needs to hear. If you're upset about climate change, there's something you can do 3 times a day to lower your carbon footprint. And if we all did it, we could begin to reverse climate change, not just stop the acceleration. And that's eat a low carbon footprint diet. And that is a plant-based diet. In fact, it was proven at COP26 in Glasgow, Scotland, where they hypocritically served ham, but then they actually put the carbon price tag of every food item they sold on the label. And the Washington Post did an article and said, well, since the ham is so much exponentially higher in terms of its carbon footprint than the tofu, why did you even serve the ham? It backfired on them.
As it should have. Wow. Well, I have to say, it was a pleasure to listen to you and have you speak this. And I hope I get to have you again on soon. We can definitely do a whole series on this because I would love to hear more from you.
I want to thank you for having me on and for allowing me to promote Unchained TV and for asking great questions and listening. I so appreciate you.
Likewise. And we'll talk again soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Have
Bye.
a good one.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.